What's going on, my people? This is Blanche Eden, your host for Black Trending News. All right, let's get into it. So tonight I'm going to talk about Laverne Cox. Just a little background on, for some people who may not know who she is, I'm still learning about who she is as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about her, and then I'm going to speak on an interview she did with Madame Noir. So let's get into it. Let's talk. Laverne Cox is an American actress and LGBTQ plus advocate. She rose to prominence with her role as Sophia Bursette on the Netflix series Orange is the New Black, becoming the first openly transgender person to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in any acting category, and the first to be nominated for an Emmy Award since composer Angela Morley in 1990. In 2015, she won a Daytime Emmy Award in Outstanding Special Class Special as executive producer for Laverne Cox Presents the T Word, making her the first openly transgender woman to win the award. In 2017, she became the first transgender person to play a transgender series regular on broadcast TV as Cameron Worth on CBS's Doubt. Wow, so there's a lot of firsts here. Okay, so just some really quick background information about Laverne and her early life. She was born in Mobile, Alabama, and was raised by a single mother and a grandmother within the AME Zion Church. She has an identical twin brother, M. Lamar, who portrayed the pre-transitioning Sophia as Marcus in Orange is the New Black. Cox stated she attempted suicide at the age of 11 when she noticed that she had developed feelings for her male classmates and had been bullied for several years for not acting the way someone assigned male at birth was supposed to act. She's a graduate of the Alabama School of Fine Arts in Birmingham, Alabama, where she studied creative writing before switching to dance. She then studied for 2 years at Indiana University in Bloomington before transferring to Marymount Manhattan College in New York, where she switched from dancing, specifically classical ballet, to acting. During her first season on Orange is the New Black, she was still appearing at a restaurant on the Lower East Side as a drag queen, where she had applied initially to work as a waitress. So just some background information, very briefly. She's had a lot of successes. I haven't even begun to go into how successful she is in, just a few years. I'm very happy to be talking about her today. She did an interview with Madame Noir, and it's not a video. It's actually a article here that's typed up, and it's at I'll put the link in the description, but it's at madamenoir.com, and the title of the interview is called Black Cis Women Need to Have Conversations with Black Cis Men About Their Attraction to Us. So if you're like me, you didn't know what Black Cis woman was. And a cis woman is someone like myself who was born a woman and I'm still a woman, versus a woman who is not a cis woman, who was born a male and transformed into a female, and vice versa for the men. I want to talk a little bit about, there's 2 paragraphs in here that I definitely just want to touch on. I heard a commentary on it from another YouTuber that I follow. I definitely enjoyed her perspective, and I wanted to just, read the article for myself and chime in. So here we go. With trans folks, we need jobs, we need housing, we need public policies that support our life chances. And I think, too, all the violence that's happening against trans women, Black cis women need to be having conversations with Black cis men about their attraction to us without shaming cis Black men, because they are. They have been since the beginning of time. I've dated men in the past who've said they would never tell a cis woman they date in the future that they dated a trans woman because they've been shamed before by cis women for being attracted to trans women. Having conversations without shame with the men in our lives about their attraction to trans women and that being okay. Not being this thing that makes them less of a man or questioning their masculinity. There are deeper assumptions that go into all of that. So I think the bigger piece is whenever I'm uncomfortable with someone else, I have to do a lot of work to interrogate what that's about for me, end quote. This is an interesting perspective, and it's a very sensitive situation. I'm doing my very best to be sensitive about it. I am a supporter of the LGBT community, LGBTQ plus community, and I definitely can understand her perception. Being a trans woman, if I could put myself in her shoes, I could understand where she's coming from, but I'm not in her shoes, so I have to talk from my shoes. And she feels that we as, I quote, cis women need to be having conversations with our cis men. And she specified black men. I noticed she specified black men. I don't know why the race was specific with black cis women and black cis men. There are other races of men hurting trans women. Lots of different races of men and women hurt trans women. We've been seeing a lot of black trans women in the media, but I'm sure outside of the media, trans women and trans men go through discrimination, harsh discrimination from different races and different cultural backgrounds. So I'm not sure why the aim was at black women or black men. I just wanted to note that, and I'm not sure why. But how do you guys feel about having a conversation with your man? I mean, I think most of us would like to think that our man is not going to cheat on us. Like, we're not going to have this conversation like, all right, honey, if you cheat on me and you cheat on me with it, and if she happens to be a trans woman, you know, don't overreact. Have respect for her. Or she could be just talking in general. Like, if we have a brother or if we have a cousin that is a black male, I don't know, just a friend, to have this conversation like, hey, have you ever been with a trans woman? And it seems very, I think for most people, or, you know, at least some people would say this is an awkward conversation. Why am I being expected to have this conversation? Some would even say, what does this have to do with me? And it doesn't have anything to do with us. This is more to, I guess, support the trans community and help with the, just to touch back here on what she said. Black cis women need to be having conversations with black cis men about their attraction to us without shaming cis black men, because they are. So that's a very general term to kind of say all black cis women are shaming all black cis men. I don't think a lot of black cis women go through this situation. This is a very unique, special situation. Because if the man is not telling you, I mean, it's like a tongue twister here. There was another line I wanted to. I've dated men in the past who've said they would never tell a cis woman they date in the future that they dated a trans woman because they've been shamed before by cis women for being attracted to trans women. That's not every man, though. So that's her personal experience she's speaking on. that's not every man. Because like she even mentioned, like most men are not going to come out and say, yeah, I had sex with a trans woman. No matter what the transformation was, whether it was full transformation or partial transformation. I hope I'm using the right terms, but you know what I mean. Having conversations without shame with the men in our lives about their attraction to trans women, and that being okay. Wow. Like I that's why I was so intrigued by this conversation, because I've never even thought about this. And I think what this conversation, like, I don't so much have a rebuttal, because I don't know what it's like to be in her shoes. So I don't really have a rebuttal. But what I do have is that this is definitely a conversation starter, and it's definitely a door opener to someone else's perspective and someone else's experiences in life, and to be empathetic towards it without devaluing yourself as a woman and, you know, your relationships with other black men or black women in your life, because she's referring to black people. And again, I don't know specifically why. Maybe this conversation is, they're talking about black people because Madame Noir is a black, you know, platform. Perhaps that's why, I'm not sure. But it's an awkward, definitely an awkward situation, an awkward conversation. You know, you guys tell me, how comfortable are you talking with a male counterpart in your life about accepting a black trans woman, and if you did meet her and find out that you wouldn't hurt her? I think we could do it in maybe like a group form. I think that would be more comfortable rather than like a one-on-one form, you know. But this definitely starts the conversation. This definitely opens up a can of worms that is not a bad can of worms. It's just like an interesting can of worms. And it's interesting to see people's reactions. And I'm kind of happy she said it, because I just, like I said, it never crossed my mind. And am I 100% sure on how I would approach it? No, because I've just never had this type of situation in my face. But it's definitely something to think about, because I mean, she kind of has a point. Like, we are black people, and we do share a sense of responsibility towards one another, especially in our communities and where we live. So if we have, you know, if we have trans people in our community, we definitely need to consider them. And if there's a group of people being biased and mean and hateful towards them, we should definitely approach them. So I think that's along the lines of what she is saying. You know, I think she's had some negative experiences based on what she said. She's definitely had some negative experiences with black women. I don't think she dislikes black women, but she just has her opinion and her perception and her ways on what black women can, not should, but can do. Maybe she said black women need to be having this conversation. So she feels like we need to have it. So it's she feels strongly about it, right? But again, the ultimate decision is ours. And I think that it also boils down to if this affects our lives. But I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with a group coming together. I think this is better for a group to come together and do. You know, what do you guys think? Tell me below. There's another here. It says, if a cis, and this is her quote from the article, if a cis woman has a problem with trans women, what is that about? This is deep. I know historically in America, black women during slavery, blackness was synonymous with being a man, and womanhood was synonymous with being a white woman. So black women have been historically erased in this country. So I think with that history of being erased as black women and the womanhood of black women always being called into question, the historical trauma of that is sort of being represented in the bodies of trans women, in part, I think, of what's going on. So I don't think that, and this is based on my experience, right? This is her perception. Let's please take into account that she probably was a male most of her life, but I don't know her personal feelings, her personal experiences, when she began to feel like a female. I don't know that, but I know that there's definitely a difference between a man and a female, right? So just speaking from a cis female or cis woman perspective, I respect her opinion, but I just have to disagree because I personally don't feel a threat from trans women. People are people. Like, people are people. I think if a woman, and I say woman, I don't say black, right? I just say woman. If a woman feels a threat from a trans woman, it probably has nothing to do with that trans woman. And that's it. It more than likely has nothing to do with the trans woman. It has something to do with that person's personal experience as a woman with other women, because you're a woman to them. So if I'm looking at you, you look like a woman, you are my competition. So if I have issues with other women, I'm gonna have competition with you. I just butt head with women, or I got an issue with this type of woman or that kind of woman. That's a personal issue that she has. I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with being a trans, because people are born every day. So what does it matter if you're a trans woman or just a cis woman or whatever? You're a woman. And if I feel a certain way towards a female, you're not excluded from that because you're a trans woman. I'm going to treat you like how I treat a woman. This comes with being a woman. Every woman knows that women tend to be catty sometimes. We all have had our catty, moments when we've clawed at each other, or men, or whatever. We have our own issues, each of us. But if you're a trans woman, I think it comes with accepting the fact that women are going to treat you like how they treat other women. You're not going to get treated special because you're a trans woman. That's just not how it's going to work. You're a woman now, so we're going to treat you just like we treat any other woman. I would hope that's how you would want to be treated. There's no filter for, we didn't grow up with this, how do I treat a trans woman filter in our minds. Our parents didn't raise us how to treat trans people. We treat people as they identify themselves. So if you identify yourself as a woman, whether you're trans or not, who cares? That's your personal business. I don't care if you're trans or not. That's too much information for me, as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to know. All I care about is who you identify as to yourself and to me. I think that's really important, to not look at our history and say that we were erased, because as far as I'm concerned, black women, they try to erase us. They try to erase black people. The black man has even tried to be erased. They've been shot and killed, with their wives surviving them and their families surviving them. So the black race in general has tried to be put out multiple times. We never will be. So I don't think that using the history, I think that's kind of like that's just her perception, for whatever reason, from her experiences. That's her perception from her experiences. My experiences tell me, if you're a woman, I'm gonna treat you like a woman. That's it. I'm not gonna treat you any different because you're a trans woman. It's all about your identity. There's only two identities, male and woman. The trans woman, yes, I understand that you transform from a man to a woman, but your last identity is a woman. So that's what you're going to be treated as. Black women get treated a certain way. So you're going to be treated like a black woman. You're not going to be treated differently because you're a trans woman. Black women get abused. Black women get it. We get what we get, right? Whatever that is, whether it's a pedestal or whether it's the underground, whatever, right? We get it. All in between that too. All the gray area as well. So if you are a woman, you get that too. Now I understand that there was an incident she had raised here really quickly. about a trans woman that was recently killed by a Latin king, a gang member, because they dated and they broke up. He was afraid that his fellow gang members would discover that he once dated her, so he killed her. That's a senseless crime. That's a senseless crime. But that can happen to anyone. Yes, she died in the name of her transformation. That's unique to her. But if she was a woman, she was a cis woman, and something else would have happened, he would have killed her ass too. He is a gang member that maybe solves things with violence and murder, right? She happened to be involved with somebody like that. Let's talk. That's the first thing. You're involved with a gang member. That's the first problem. Let's forget the fact that you're a transgender person. You're involved with a gang member. So you're already putting yourself in violence, whether you're male or female or whatever your identity is. That's the first. I'm not going to say it's a problem. It's the first issue. It's the first thing, above that you were killed because you were transgender. When you transform, you take the identity of what you are. Now, I understand that there's circumstances that I may not be able to relate to. Please put it in the comment section. I'm not coming for nobody. But if there's something that I'm missing, you feel like I'm not addressing because of my ignorance of not being a transgender person, share it with me. Share it with me. I want to hear it because I would like to know more. I always want to know more of what I don't know already. Please don't tell me something I know already, but you don't know what I know. So tell me and let's talk about it. But honestly, when you take, just to close it up here, when you take the identity of a sex, you take whatever comes with that. So you're talking about black women being erased. You're now a black woman. So you in a club now. Now you part of the black woman club. I don't look at this woman as a trans woman. I don't care about that. What you look like, whatever you look like to me. What goes on behind your clothes or behind closed doors is not my business. I don't care. And I think most people don't care about that. I mean, I would look at Laverne and I wouldn't be able to tell she was a trans woman. Her transformation is wonderful. She's a beautiful woman. I wouldn't say, you're a man. I would not even think that. So I would treat her as I would treat any other woman. And I would hope that is a good thing in the LGBTQ plus community, that we treat each other equally and have respect for each other. That's above anything else. Fuck this black, white, cis, non-cis, whatever. Let's have respect for each other because we're human beings, and screw what is going on behind our clothes and in our personal lives. Let's just have respect for each other. I know that's easier said than done, because if we don't like somebody, we find it harder to respect that person. But again, that's nothing to do with their sexuality or who they are and their gender. It's just your personality. You know what I mean? So there's different layers to this. I'm going to finish up. I want to thank Laverne Cox for even talking about this, because it really opened up a door in my brain that was glued shut. It needed to blow open. She blew it right open. So thank you, and have a good night. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.